And we are live. Thank you guys for tuning into the Max Van Auken Podcast. I hope you guys had a great Memorial Day. I did. My girl and I went all the way to Georgia from Florida. I know it seems like all the way, right? But it was a great trip, and the traffic wasn't that bad. I thought it was going to be awful. Memorial Day, I saw a lot of police officers, of course, trying to give those people some tickets, and they did, but they did not get me. They did not get me. I know where to scope them out. In those corners, I'm not going to give all the secrets away, but I scoped them out. Didn't get any tickets in my girl's brand new car, so that was the success trip. That was a huge success, not getting a ticket, because that car does go fast. But there was so much going down. So Kawhi Leonard advances to the NBA Finals with the Toronto Raptors. I never thought I would say that. I really didn't think I was going to say that. Now, let me rephrase this. I knew they were a legitimate contender. I knew this team had a lot of potential. Kawhi Leonard, arguably the best player in the East, and he was proving it. But I did not think the Raptors were going to end up in the NBA Finals. I didn't. I didn't think the Raptors would end up in the NBA Finals, but they did. And they defeated the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis, who was the hottest guy out, and Kawhi Leonard shut him down. 12 points, 8 turnovers, shut him down, and ended up into the NBA Finals. So for Toronto, congratulations. I doubted you. Pretty sure a lot of people doubted you, but you guys... The Raptors have had this drought where the LeBron effect, right? LeBron goes to 8 straight finals. You seem to be right there. Eastern Conference Finals. Cavaliers were more vulnerable than ever. That was before they went and they advanced to the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, but just never got over that hump. Never got over the LeBron hump. And to their defense, not a lot of people got over the LeBron hump, especially in the East. But now Toronto, I love what the management has done. They were aggressive. Let's get rid of DeMar DeRozan. Let's acquire Kawhi Leonard, even if it's for a one-year rental. Even if it's for a one-year rental, which seems to be frowned upon, right? Because you're giving away a guy in DeMar DeRozan who's been loyal to the Toronto Raptors, who the fan base knows, who they're familiar with, and a lot of people don't like change. And you're willing to get rid of him and take a risk with a guy that you may only have for 1 year. But being aggressive wins. So they take that risk, they get Kawhi Leonard, and they're going to a place they, as a franchise, have never gone before, the NBA Finals. So that right there is a win. That right there, Toronto should feel vindicated. That's confirmation that what you did by trading DeMar DeRozan to the Spurs, taking a risk on Kawhi Leonard was worth it. You went to a place you have never gone before, and for that, Toronto should be applauded for. The Jurassic Park, all the fans, just such an amazing group of fans. Toronto is on fire. Drake, by the way, have no issue with what he did. Yeah, you probably shouldn't touch the coach, but I love the enthusiasm. I love getting into it. I love the controversy, and for some reason, it got into the head of the Milwaukee Bucks as head coach. Why, Budenholzer, why are you worried about Drake? Worry about your team losing. Worry about Giannis having 8 turnovers. So all in all, congratulations to the Toronto Raptors. And what it says for Kawhi Leonard's legacy. But most importantly, what does it say about him staying in Toronto? Is it 100% he becomes a Clipper? I know that's what everybody's talking about before the whole season started is, okay, it's a 1-year rental. He's going to stay a Clipper. He's going to become a Clipper. He wants to live in Los Angeles. He's made it clear. Not the Lakers, but probably the Clippers. The game winner he hit against the 76ers, Game 7 game winner, you'd think, okay, it's starting to build some momentum. Now you just hit a game winner in a Game 7. The Toronto crowd embraced you. The fan base embraced you and made you the guy. They made you the guy. They want you now. They rally behind you. So you're like, okay, it's starting to grow some legs. Now you could see that he's a little more involved with Toronto, and Toronto's embracing him with open arms. He's the man. There's no question about it. Then Kyle Lowry, he has a supporting cast. Not the best second guy. Obviously is inconsistent. But Siakam has showed improvement. He from 7 points to 17 points. And legitimately had a great half of the second season. And really was their second best player in the series against Milwaukee. Then you get Marc Gasol, a veteran. Danny Green, a champion, who he played obviously in San Antonio with. Defense threes. So you have good management. A whole country behind you. And you just hit a game winner. Okay, all right, it's starting to grow some legs. So then you go against Milwaukee. You're down 2. Wait a second. You just win all of these games, and you celebrated it with the head management talking about you're the best player in the world. You just went to a place this franchise has never gone before, with the whole country behind you, with Drake in the crowd, and it doesn't have any leverage? I think it does. I think it does. Now, I'm not saying it's 100% lock it in that he is a Toronto Raptor, but I don't think it's 100% he's a Clipper. I think going to the NBA Finals, we'll see how they'll do, and we'll get into it here. That has to have leverage for him to stay. It's not like you just went to some franchise. I mean, look at Paul George. He was supposed to be a rental with the Oklahoma City Thunder. They didn't even go to the NBA Finals. They got out in the first round, and he stayed. The first round with Russell Westbrook, selfish Russell Westbrook. Yes, I said selfish, and he stayed because something clicked with him. He seemed like he fit there. Now, Kawhi's different. He doesn't communicate very well. And I had the pleasure of interviewing him after he beat the Orlando Magic. And you can just tell that he is a well thought out guy, takes a very cerebral approach to the game, very humble, as good as it gets. And he has a lot of self-awareness. He wants to win. When they said, hey, Kawhi, you're the best player in the world now, what did you think about those comments? His response was, he's just a team guy and he wants to win. So you have somebody like him who has self-awareness. So going to the NBA Finals with great management, with a proven cast, with the fan base embracing you, and you're the team with the whole country behind you with Canada, I'm just saying it has leverage. Now, that can either grow if they beat the Golden State Warriors. I don't think it can get worse. I think that leverage, he won't lose any leverage with Toronto. I think Toronto proven itself. You went over the hump. You went to the finals. Toronto should feel really good. You did everything you could to keep Kawhi Leonard. The management stepped up big time, took risks, was aggressive, and you went to the NBA Finals. So if he leaves, Toronto can honestly say there's nothing they could have done more. That's just his personal decision to go to the Clippers. And he may very well do that. But now you go, is Kawhi the best player in the world? I told you my rankings. I still think it's LeBron, KD. Kawhi certainly third. If he beats this Golden State Warriors team without Kevin Durant, or with Kevin Durant, you can make the argument he's the best player in the world. Best two-way player in the world, 100%. But what he's been able to do in these playoffs is step up. And that's what special players do. They step up. They elevate their game when it matters most. More minutes, career high in rebounds, career high in points, and be efficient with it. That's special. Kawhi Leonard has been special this postseason. But you got the Warriors, you have the Raptors. The Warriors going into their 5th NBA Finals. Curry's looking for 4 rings in 5 years. A three-peat. Wow. Can we just take a minute to embrace this dynasty? Why is everyone so quick to just get rid of this dynasty? And I'm a LeBron guy. So, of course, when he played the Golden State Warriors, yeah, I'm secretly rooting for LeBron. There's no secret there. I appreciate the Golden State Warriors, but I'm a LeBron guy. And I even appreciate the Golden State Warriors. Even after they beat LeBron James, I appreciate the Golden State Warriors. We're always looking for greatness in life with technology, with efficiency, with work, with a significant other. And we finally have that in basketball. We have the dynasty right now. Like, we always reminisce about the Chicago Bulls. We reminisce about the Showtime Lakers. We reminisce about the great Celtics. And now we have a dynasty in front of us, and we can't wait to get rid of it. The whole world is rooting for the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors won't win another championship. Even if they win this one, they won't win again. They won't win again. The Golden State Warriors, if they win this one, with or without Kevin Durant, they have an opportunity to win 4 straight, which has never been done. Michael Jordan didn't do it. Magic Johnson didn't do it. These guys, LeBron James didn't do it. These guys could win 4 straight titles. Why would we not root for that? I don't understand why we don't root for greatness. We root for... And you can't tell me you always want to go for the underdog. The ratings always show it every single year. You guys hate Duke, but Duke is always great, and the ratings show it. why do we go against this dynasty so much? I don't know if it's the threes. I don't know if it's because they seem a little, not cocky, but maybe just the way they carry themselves is with a lot of confidence, which they should because they're about to win 3 straight. And I think they do win it. I think the Golden State Warriors win it. Even without Kevin Durant, this Golden State Warriors team wins the championship. And I want everyone to realize what we're seeing. We're seeing a team where Kevin Durant's the best player on that team. I've said Steph Curry's the most valuable. But Kevin Durant's the best player on this team. Arguably the best player in the world. And you take him off, he's injured, and the Golden State Warriors are still a favorite. If you took Michael Jordan off the Chicago Bulls, we've seen what happens. Like, they're a good team. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals, almost made it to the finals, but they didn't win it. This Golden State Warriors are the favorite to win it again without Kevin Durant, the best player. That's how good this team is. That's how special this team is. That's how good of a coach Steve Kerr is. That's how self-aware and unselfish these players are. The system, it's always moving. It's a fluid motion. They're shooting. They revolutionize the game. But when they need a bucket, it's not just about the three-point shooting. The Toronto Raptors were the best three-point shooting team during the season when they added Marc Gasol. Their ability to switch up lineups, to step up when they needed it most with Andre Iguodala. They get mid-range buckets. They get layups. They run the pick and roll. This team has multiple layers like an onion. You keep having multiple layers, and they'll make you cry, but not in a good way. They'll make you cry because they beat you in multiple ways. And that's something we need to appreciate with this team. Whether you hate them because you're a Toronto fan. I get it. You don't have to root for them if you're a Toronto fan. But you should appreciate this team. And we should look back. It's like LeBron. There's so many critics with LeBron James. When it's all said and done, a lot of us will sit back and be like, damn, that guy was an all-timer. And we crushed him. All-timer. Missed a game winner. We hate him. Makes it, he's still not as good as Jordan. Jordan would have made it. But we never, I feel like a lot of people didn't appreciate LeBron James in the moment. They're just comparing him to Michael Jordan. Why is he not the greatest? They didn't really appreciate him in the moment. That's what I'm fearful with this Golden State Warriors team. I feel like we're not going to appreciate them until the dynasty is over. And then we feel more comfortable because there's more quote-unquote parity, which there is. The Toronto Raptors in the NBA Finals for the first time. But once it gets back to normal and there's not this crazy dominance, this dynasty, I think people are going to look back at it and say that team was a lot of fun to watch. And it's just, I don't understand it. I personally enjoy watching greatness. I love watching greatness. We all strive for greatness in some way or another in our daily life. We have it in basketball. We should appreciate it. But what does it say about Steph Curry? If Steph Curry wins this without Kevin Durant, what does it say for the Warriors? What does it say for Kevin Durant? I think there's so many different type of storylines heading into this NBA Finals. If they win without Kevin Durant, does Kevin Durant think, damn, you know what? The guys were right. The critics were right. Yeah, I did join the 73-9 Warriors. Yes, I do have 2 final MVPs, but they won without me. They don't need me. That's what people are thinking. They don't need me. They just won a championship, which all 32 teams are trying to do. They just did it without me. Or does he look at it and say, you know what? I just had an injury. Do I really want to go to the Knicks? Or do I want to play on a team where I don't have to give it 100% every night? Where I do have Steph Curry, I do have Klay Thompson, where I do have Draymond Green. I think he leaves. I think he leaves, especially if they win without Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant leaves. Now, do I think I wouldn't do that if I was in his position? Why would you leave an all-time great team, more money, better system, great management, great players, great team, great history, a great future ahead, championships, endorsements, Silicon Valley, new arena? I wouldn't leave. But I think if they win without Kevin Durant, this is even more of a reason for him to try to win on his own. To say, okay, guys, they won it without me. Let me show I can win without them. I didn't do it in OKC. I'll do it in New York. And I think this is perfect for Steph Curry. I had him winning the Finals MVP even before Kevin Durant's injury. This is perfect for Steph Curry. Deep down, I know he's a team guy, very humble guy, great leader. This is great for Steph Curry because now Steph Curry can prove I won again And this time I'm the Finals MVP, the only thing missing from his resume, and I won without Kevin Durant. And he's not an I guy, he's a team guy, so he won't go out and say that. But deep down, because for some reason the public doesn't like Steph Curry, they respect Russell Westbrook, they respect John Wall, but Steph Curry gets a bad rap because I guess he has the baby face, shoots a lot of threes, has a great team around him. Steph Curry will have 2 MVPs, first ever unanimous MVP, greatest shooter of all time, all the shooting records, 4 rings, and now he can say he has a Finals MVP. So for Steph Curry, this Finals means everything, because now you have an opportunity to win without Kevin Durant, which it looks like Kevin Durant won't play. It looks like, because Kevin Durant's likely to miss Game 1. I know he's traveling with the team, and that either means he's healthy and he's about to play, or that means, yeah, I'm not close, but I'm going to come and support you guys in the locker room. Either way, but I'm pretty sure he's not close. If I had to guess and I had to put my money on it, Kevin Durant's not close to returning. So if he misses this Finals and Steph Curry wins, and the one thing he's missing from his resume is a Finals MVP, and the one thing Kevin Durant's extremely insecure about, maybe not the one thing, but the most, is the fact that the Golden State Warriors can win without him and that he joined this team. So it's going to magnify Steph Curry's greatness, and it's going to magnify Kevin Durant's insecurities. And you mix those two together, I think Kevin Durant leaves, obviously Steph Curry stays, but now we may actually have some recognition on Steph Curry's behalf, and it's time to get into free agency. And things will get really good and really fast. Really good and really fast. Make sure you guys please DM me on Instagram, Twitter, Max Van Auken. DM me any questions if you have any questions. This podcast I'm recording on a Wednesday. I'm going to be out of town in North Carolina for the weekend, so I may not have a couple podcasts then, but I will be back next week, and I'm going to record a whole bunch of podcasts next week. I think I have one more this week as well. But yeah, so this Finals is an interesting Finals. I would take the Golden State Warriors in 6. I want to say a gentleman's sweep in 5, but something's telling me 6. I love the fact that they're playing at Toronto. It's something different. It's not Cleveland. I love that they're not opening at home. I find myself rooting for the Warriors this season. It's the first time I could say that. And it's not that I didn't root for them because I wasn't a fan or I didn't appreciate them like I've been ranting to you guys about. It was because it was against LeBron. But I'm really excited to see a motivated Golden State Warriors, because the one thing that always concerns the Golden State Warriors and the fans is they don't have that spark. They don't have that juice because they're so talented. They know they're playing in June. Why take a regular game seriously? Why take this game seriously? But when they have to turn it on, they turn it on. No Kevin Durant on a place you've never been before in the Finals. And now they have a reason to turn it on early. So that's what I'm extremely excited to see. My final prediction would be the Golden State Warriors in 6 games. I think Toronto's going to play extremely hard in Toronto. I think they have 2 in them. I think it's 5 or 6 games, but if I had to bet my money, I'm going with the Golden State Warriors in 6 games to win the NBA Finals, to win their 4th championship in 5 years and a 3-peat, on their way to a 4-peat. Now, I don't know if they do the 4-peat, but they're on their way to one. Oof. Oof. All right, so I've been saying it. I'm a Golden State Warriors fan. A Lakers fan. Rooting for the Golden State Warriors in the Finals. No secret there. If Kawhi wins it, that's great. If the Toronto Raptors win, I'm happy. I am happy for Kawhi Leonard. He goes into free agency saying, okay, where do I want to go? Every team wants me. I just won a championship as the man in Toronto. My 2nd championship. Left San Antonio. I won that divorce. He can go anywhere he wants, and he is the man, and arguably, probably the best player in the world if he wins this championship against the Golden State Warriors. But I mentioned my Lakers. I mentioned LeBron James. My gosh. I think I could have a podcast every single day about my Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James. And not in a good way. Not in a good way. Not, hey, they just got this player. Hey, LeBron James just took Lonzo out to eat. Nope. 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 It's bad. It's bad. Magic Johnson goes out and he basically, well, first of all, there's an article that comes out. There's former Laker coaching staff saying they had no idea what was going on. Why is there a lack of shooters? But a whole bunch of players that have had issues of fitting in locker rooms. Rob Pelinka's fake story about Kobe Bryant went to eat with Heath Ledger when The Dark Knight came out. But if you really know, Heath Ledger passed away. I think it was like 6 months before the film even hit the theaters. It's just so crazy to me that something so special, the Lakers organization, the history, the success, such a big city, LeBron James, how they could be so unprofessional and disorganized and unorganized. I don't know how that can happen. I really don't. It's poor management, and then Magic Johnson goes to ESPN and he explains his side again, and I agree with him. He says, yeah, I fired some people because I wanted to create a new culture. I've never driven fear. Like, that's never been his thing, is to make people fear him. And there's been reports that they say Magic Johnson was lazy. And he says, well, I had a $600 million business that I built. I have 5 championships as a player. I don't think I'm lazy. I know I'm not lazy. His father, who was a hard worker, I think he said 30 years and never missed a day, never was late. Magic Johnson's not lazy, and he was right for saying that. I think he was in the wrong position because what he needs to do requires day in and day out, and he just has so many things going on, and I've talked about that before. It's hard to focus on one thing when you're getting pulled in 1,000 different directions because you're so successful and you've reached that magnitude that Magic Johnson has reached. So I think it's a mess. I think everyone's trying to explain their side of the story so the optics and their brand is protected, but I don't think they're focusing on the direction of the Lakers because Magic Johnson seems to be at wits with Rob Pelinka, and it doesn't seem to mend well, but I think he's still on the staff and still has a say or still whispers in Jeannie's ear about what they should do. So they have no idea what they're doing. They don't have a sense of direction. They don't know anything, and apparently Jeannie Buss has a lot of family influencing in them. It's bad. It is bad. To have a 20-page article out, to have Magic Johnson on a talk show specifically talking about how dysfunctional the front office is being, and I defend Magic Johnson and what he said. I just don't think it was the right position for him. The Lakers need to make a trade, and they need to make a trade to influence a free agent. I think they get Jimmy Butler, but you need to make a trade. And I've heard a lot of people say it on these talk shows, hey, Colin Cowherd said it, they need to get like a Bradley Beal. And I couldn't agree more. You need a Bradley Beal. You need a shooter to go alongside LeBron James. A veteran, but a young guy, 25 years old. He's been in the league. He knows what it's like to be a professional, has a professional body, professional work ethic, professional mindset, but isn't old. He still has young legs. He can be a big scoring option. To go with Jimmy Butler, who I think would fit perfect with LeBron James. I think he could be a locker room issue with a lot of young teams, but somebody with LeBron James's standard and IQ and leadership, I don't think he'll have an issue in the locker room with somebody that he admires or looks up to probably as LeBron James, somebody that's a leader, that's won 3 championships, that's not a rookie. I don't think Jimmy Butler's going to question he's the man on the team. So if everyone knew their role, I think it would work out between LeBron James and Jimmy Butler and Bradley Beal. But I just don't think it's, if the Lakers are just, hey, you know what, I hope someone comes here, who's going to want to join this mess? Nobody would want to join this mess. So they need to make a trade, and Anthony Davis just had a lunch, and with Griffin, the GM of the Pelicans, Anthony Davis is the guy the Lakers want. It's the guy that the Knicks want. So depending on how that lunch goes, I think will depend on what happens next. And I think it's an obvious statement, but it's determining the Lakers' future. If Anthony Davis says, you know what, I'm only going to play for the Knicks and the Lakers, so it's down to 2 teams, what's the best offer? And I know the coach really likes, for the Pelicans, really likes Brandon Ingram, and he likes Lonzo Ball. So you get Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball with the 4th pick to go along Zion Williamson. You have a young core and a new sense of direction. Or you can go the Knicks route, depending on what they offer. Dennis Smith Jr., the 3rd pick, R.J. Barrett. So it's very interesting, but I think you can't wait for a free agent to choose you. You have to make the trade if you're the Lakers. Will they do that? I'm not too sure, because now you have Chris Paul and the Rockets and Daryl Morey saying, Well, I'll get into that soon. But if you're the Lakers, you have to make a trade. You have to make a trade, and then the free agent will come. If you get Anthony Davis, then you sit down in a room with Kyrie Irving and you say, okay, Kyrie, I know you don't want to deal with the media. We have LeBron for that. And you want help. You want stability. I know we've been dysfunctional, but now we have another guy to go alongside you, Anthony Davis. All we need you to do is get buckets. You're in Los Angeles. You want to retire early. That's LA. That's Hollywood. We got that for you. You got buckets. Just get buckets, and we can win the championship. Then I think that's a much better pitch than it is to, hey, Kyrie, so we do have LeBron. We have some young guys. And in the other room, you have to talk to him. I think he may not like what I'm saying. But in that room, we also have Genie, and I think Genie really does want you. But what I've heard from Magic is that Magic thinks you're a better fit. But then Rob Pelinka, actually, I'm not too sure. You may have to speak to Rob. That's not going to work. A free agent's not going to go walk in there and say, you know what, who do I talk to? And you don't know who to talk to. You have to have a better pitch. You're not going to get rid of the history of what just happened. But what you can do is move forward and be aggressive like we've seen the Toronto Raptors do. Take a risk, be aggressive, change the narrative, change the direction, and then it's easier to make that pitch to a free agent like a Kyrie Irving, like a Kawhi Leonard, a Klay Thompson, a Kemba Walker. It's much easier. But you have to get that first guy in there to get a sort of direction to prove, okay, we've been dysfunctional, but now you have LeBron James and you have Bradley Beal. You have LeBron James and you have Anthony Davis. It's much easier to talk when you have two all-timers on the court with you. But I mentioned the Rockets. I mentioned Chris Paul. So Daryl Morey, the GM for the Houston Rockets, comes out and he says, hey, pretty much everyone is on the table. They're shopping Clint Capella. Most people would assume Chris Paul. Most people would assume James Harden's not on that list. But he's aggressive. He's hyper-aggressive. And I've seen people take it as, hey, you know what? Daryl Morey did screw up that Chris Paul deal. Is D'Antoni going to get any type of blame for what happened, the meltdown with the Golden State Warriors? Should he be at fault? Who's at fault? Is it right that he's doing this? I love what he's doing. So I think there's two ways to look at it. One, Daryl Morey messed up. He gave Chris Paul a terrible contract. Chris Paul is an older player, and he's aging by the day. Had a bad series against the Golden State Warriors. He was healthy. He was playing, so it's not like last year where he missed 6 and 7, or he missed 7. Yeah, he missed 6 and 7. So that's an issue to begin with. Injury prone. He gets injured a lot where he wasn't even available last season when they needed it most. But now you had him this time, and you didn't have Kevin Durant playing on the other team, and you still lost because he didn't produce. It looked like Eric Gordon was your second best player for the Houston Rockets. So you have an older, deteriorating player who was an extremely high-caliber point guard, an all-time point guard, not discrediting what he's done in the past, but we're judging off what Chris Paul has done now and going forward. It's an awful contract. I don't know what Daryl Morey was thinking by giving him that type of extension, because now you handicap yourself. I don't know what type of team is going to want an aging point guard with that type of price, with that type of baggage. Especially given the fact that how he performed against the Golden State Warriors. And right now, that's what every team in the West, everyone's trying to beat the Golden State Warriors. So why would you want a guy who's older, who didn't perform against the Golden State Warriors? That's crazy expensive. Not smart. But that's somebody that the Lakers would fall for. Not smart. The Lakers are proving, with their history right now, that would be a team that may fall for it. And say, you know what? We didn't give LeBron Ty Lue. Let's give him an aging point guard that he's best friends with. That's what I'm fearful of as a Lakers fan. I pray to God they don't do it. But we'll see. But as far as Daryl Morey, he messed up with that. And I think D'Antoni is a very systematic guy, a very analytical guy. But at some point, he has to take blame for not showing up when it mattered most either. You have James Harden, Chris Paul, and D'Antoni. And they seem to be the three people that are a face of... And Daryl Morey, they're the face of the Houston Rockets. Great manager, good regular season head coach, great regular season player in James Harden, good regular season player in Chris Paul. All of them share one thing. Well, Daryl Morey's a GM, so it's harder to do that, but to blame it on him for the playoffs. But you blame it on him for the team he constructed, is you go all in for these 2 years, James Harden comes up short in the playoffs. I know his numbers look phenomenal, and Russell Westbrook gets a triple-double, so you want to say he had a great series, but he didn't show up, and he fatigues early in the playoffs because of how much energy he expends during the regular season. Chris Paul doesn't show up when it matters most in the playoffs, and D'Antoni doesn't know how to adjust like the Golden State Warriors did when your plan A doesn't work. He's a very hard-headed coach where, okay, the three's not falling, we need to take more threes. The Warriors like, okay, you know what? Kevin Durant's out. Let's change our system. Let's get a more fluid motion again. Hey, the three's not falling. Let's get more layups in mid-range. So you have all these critiques with these guys, and you extended Chris Paul. On the other hand, I love what Daryl Morey is doing as far as being aggressive and getting anyone on this roster is on the market. Who can we get for Chris Paul? Who can we get for Clint Capella, Eric Gordon? So I love when a GM is aggressive, that's willing to change, that's willing to adjust and evolve with the NBA. But you can't be obsessed with the Golden State Warriors and only try to beat them in one way. That's proven that it doesn't work even when their best player isn't playing. So they need to look in the mirror and they need to understand where they went wrong and adjust where they went wrong instead of just trying to drive these analytics down everybody's throat and coming up short again and again. Because even if Kevin Durant leaves, the Golden State Warriors are extremely smart. They're going to get some big pieces. Not Kevin Durant. You're going to lose value if you get rid of Kevin Durant and you get Rudy Gay. That's a down play. But it is something. And the Golden State Warriors are very smart, ahead of the curve, and they'll get key role players to go alongside Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. So they can be the favorites to win it. And I think they are already the favorites to win it next year. And if Kevin Durant stays, you're in trouble anyway. So you need to approach it differently. And if Daryl Morey is extremely intelligent, I love Daryl Morey as far as a GM, he needs to understand, look in the mirror, where do we go wrong? What went wrong? And going forward, what can we do? And I think that's what he's doing with putting everybody on the market. I don't know what he can get for Chris Paul. Clint Capella's expensive too, and he didn't show up against the Golden State Warriors. So it's a mess. It's a mess in the fact it's a much better mess than the Lakers, but Chris Paul's contract is a mess. The Rockets were the second best team, you could argue, in the league, but in the West, even though they weren't in the Western Conference Finals based off the placement and the Trailblazers and where they had their path. But to beat the Golden State Warriors, which you have to do to make it to the finals, they need to take a different approach. And I think changing your roster is the step in the right direction. So acknowledge what he's done bad, which was the contract. But he is on the path of fixing it, doing the right thing, changing their roster, adjusting this roster for 2019 basketball. It's not, believe it or not, it's not all about threes. Kawhi Leonard shooting mid-range, he made it to the finals. Name the second best player on the Toronto Raptors. Lowry, Siakam. I mean, these are good players, but they're not all-stars. I don't call it. Kyle Lowry was an all-star. I don't think he's an all-star anymore. Houston Rockets, you had Chris Paul as your second best player. Eric Gordon as maybe you played like your second best player. So it's interesting. It's a lot to go on in the NBA. I appreciate you guys listening. Please download and subscribe to the Max Van Auken Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, you name it. Also on YouTube, Max Van Auken. Please subscribe. Give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Like I said, I'll be on the road this weekend, but I will be coming out with a podcast possibly tomorrow, as well as next week. There's going to be a ton of podcasts, so please send in your questions. I'm going to stack them up for tomorrow's show and then also next week's show. So please check it out. I appreciate you guys listening, and peace.